Let me skip about 20 lines to the point where he says, خَلِيلَيَّ هَلْ مِن مُصْعِدٍ مِنْكُمَا عَلَى سُلُوكِ سَبِيلٍ دَارِسٍ وَخَفِيَّةٍ تأخر عنها الأكثرون وأعرضوا لما علموا في قطعها من مشقة. My two friends, and this is again an ancient Arabian convention that the poet has two companions. So my friends, can either of you give me the good news of how to follow a path that has become overgrown and almost invisible? سبيل دارس وخفية تأخر عنها الأكثرون. The majority of mankind have fallen short of it, and they've turned away from it when they have seen how difficult it is to traverse it. What are these difficulties? رياضة نفس واعتزال عوائد وقمع حظوظ للقلوب مميتة. Disciplining the nafs, restraining it from its passions, and withdrawing oneself from familiar habits, awa'id, comfortable customs, routine daily activities in which the ego finds rest, but which are of no benefit, and suppressing those states and activities which bring death to the heart. That's the nature of this path, and who is strong enough to follow this now, he says. وَتَرْكُ الْأَمَانِي وَالْمُرَادَاتِ كُلِّهَا وَكُلِّ اخْتِيَارٍ وَالتَّدَابِيرِ جُمْلَةِ. And to leave vain hopes, fantasies, imaginary castles of the mind, which are a distraction and from the ego. And all of our desires, our ambitions, our hopeless hopes for the future, because the future is only in Allah's hands. All of this is a barrier. Concern yourself with the waqt, with the time, with your own situation right now. Don't dream about the future. وَكُلِّ اخْتِيَارٍ. And every choice, every belief that really what you decide is effective, rather than all choices being in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالتَّدَابِيرِ جُمْلَةِ. And everything over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, follow the sharia. Pursue your rizq. Obey the moral law. But do not for a moment think that you can bring anything about through doing those things, because the future is entirely in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To think that your decision is really going to make a difference authentically, that's another distraction. And this path is about cutting away those distractions and forcing you to face the reality, which is tawheed. Everything is in Allah's hands. وَكَنْسُ ضَمِيرِ الْقَلْبِ كَيْ يَبْقَ فَارِغًا مِنَ الْحُبِّ لِلدُّنْيَا الْغَرُورِ الدَّنِيَّةِ. And sweeping the innermost recesses of the heart, so that it might be free and empty of any love for the dunya, which is distracting and base. Ad-dunya daniyya. The word dunya itself means what is base and what is lower. It's an elative form of the Arabic. وَتَطْهِيرُهُ سَبْعًا عَنِ الْمَيْلِ لِلسِّوَى بِمَاءِ الْفَنَى بِاللَّهِ عَنْهُ وَغَيْبَةِ. And purify it 7 times from any inclination to what is other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Live in the world, but not for the world. Cross the bridge, don't build on the bridge. Bima il-fana, this is one of the technical terms of the people. Al-fana, which means annihilation. In other words, when your own preferences and your own will and your own ego are completely scoured away at the end of the path or towards the end of the path. Everything you do is, as the hadith and Nawafil says, when you strike, Allah is striking. When you see, Allah is seeing. That's fana. وَجَمْعٌ عَلَى الْمَوْلَى الْعَظِيمِ بِتَرْكِ مَا عَنِ الذِّكْرِ يُلْهِي وَالْتِزَامُ الْعِبَادَةِ. And by coming to the great Lord by means of abandoning anything that distracts one from remembering Him, and by following the way of ibadah, keeping to ibadah constantly. فإن تصعداني بالوفاق فإن لي به بعض أنس وارتياح وقوة. And if you are able, my two friends, to give me the good news of agreeing to this, then I feel some intimacy and rest and receive strength. Then he goes on, وَإِلَّا فَأَمْرُ اللَّهِ عِنْدِي مُعَظَّمٌ وَعِنْدِي بِحَمْدِ اللَّهِ يَا رُبَّ رُغْبَتِي. If not, then Allah's affair is in my eyes magnified, and I have, alhamdulillah, many divine orientations.